good.
Yeah,
I always say that if anything Star Wars doesn't have lightsabers, I don't want it.
Well, I mean, I get it to an extent. Like the slow burn of Andor isn't for everybody, and I get that. I get that. Not everybody's gonna enjoy it, and but there's certain episodes. Especially the one that Andy Serkis appears in. Because they bring him they bring him back, and honestly, he did a way better job in this than he did playing Snoke. And what's his name? I think, was it Stellan Skarsgård? He plays Luthen Rawl. His character throughout the series, and especially his monologue in the penultimate episode for season 1, incredible.
Yeah, I think the big thing with Andor, it's all the Easter eggs for everyone. Like as you're going through the series, it's like, oh, that's the thing that does this, and then that's that creates this situation, and like if this didn't happen, then there would be a chain reaction, and we wouldn't have Star Wars. I think that's the big draw for Andor.
True enough. Oh yeah, and there's not as many Easter eggs for season 1 as from what I'm told. There's a lot more appearances in season 2, which connect it to Rogue One, which was always the plan anyway. I think the original plan was probably like 3 or 4 seasons, but I think the studio was just like, no, that's going to drag on way, way too long. And you can do what you need to do in just a season or 2. Uh-oh. Lewis disappeared.
He made it live and then left. Bitch.
It's funny because I thought he was like paying like super attention to what you were saying.
He's just frozen.
Yeah, I think
he might have froze. A little technical difficulty, folks. We'll bear with us for just a few seconds.
Honestly, that's a good way to fix your ADHD, though. Just like freeze your camera so you look like you're paying the most attention.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my god, it's great.
That's amazing.
Oh man.
For a second.
Oh yeah.
We're professionals. So 3 minutes in, and we already lost someone.
Lola is very easygoing, Malcolm. So you see.
Oh yeah. Well, so.
Oh God! Please no.
Oh man. Well, you know what? While we're waiting for him to jump back on, we're gonna go ahead and interrupt this and get the intro out of the.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's the. Where is his opening? He's got
somewhere to the left.
There we go. All right.
Up around.
Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and get the intro out of the way while we're waiting for him to jump back on. So yeah, we'll be right back.
Guys, welcome to the Nerd Archive podcast.
The little guy, Bilbo or Pippin, whatever the hell his name is.
Nintendo fans, I see a lot of people getting, just freaky corner.
Whoops. What the? Okay. Even more technical difficulties, and we're still. Oh yeah, he said. So Lewis said his internet dropped out completely. So we'll.
It's that Deltona internet.
It's all good. I'll jump in. I'll jump in for him. Yeah, he's saying he's super sorry. Of course, it has to happen when we've got this awesome guest on. So, oh yeah. Well, with that being said, welcome everyone to the Nerd Archive podcast. Technical difficulties aside, we have an incredible episode for you today. because we don't have Lewis apparently, but we do have someone even better. We have an amazing special guest for y'all this evening, and so I will give Yadi the floor to introduce him.
To me? Oh man.
Yeah, man.
Well, Malcolm is a great producer. Has been working on a lot of things in the last 6 years. You've been on for a lot of projects and learning a lot of new things and
Oh
doing
yeah,
your
well,
own thing
yeah.
now.
I've been in the industry for like 10 years professionally, but it's like I've been kind of carving out a space in children's entertainment for about 6 years.
As you say that you find your niche, or you're looking for more experience for now and then kind of move on to the
Yeah,
next step.
I never like intended to get into children's entertainment, but it just I had an opportunity land like at my doorstep, and kind of been running with it ever since.
That's awesome.
But
Very cool.
I've got projects all over the place though. So I produce comedy specials as well, and working on a feature film coming up soon.
Nice.
Ooh.
We're in pre-production right now.
I gotcha.
That's
You
awesome.
got us kind of curious, but I imagine you probably can't say too much.
Yeah, sign NDAs and stuff like that.
Gotcha. No, that makes perfect sense. Totally fair, you know.
I hate it here.
Well, you joined us at the perfect time. We actually just got done talking a bunch of shit about you.
I was gonna
That's
say,
perfect.
all trash. All
That's
trash.
perfect. Do you guys do the intro or no?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so yeah, we're joined again by our latecomer who keeps freezing again.
Am I still freezing?
You did briefly, but you're back for now.
Fantastic.
I got you. Yeah.
Looks
So,
great. Now.
oh yeah. So tell us
So
a little bit of.
Yeah, what's happening?
So we got the intro to our guest, and as well as our podcast. And I was just about to say, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got your start, and all that good stuff.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I before I spoke with you guys that I went to Embry-Riddle. It's an aeronautical university in Daytona. My dad was Air Force, and that was kind of like the career I was supposed to be on. But I always wanted to make movies, like since I was little. Like I loved movies. I was raised by my television, and so in like 2010, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna move out to LA. I don't know anyone there. I don't know anything about movies, but I'm just gonna give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, I'll go back to aviation. And I told myself, as long as every year gets better than the last, then I'm gonna stick with it. So I moved out to LA, and I started doing background work. So like there was a period of time from like 2011 to like 2014. I was probably on TV just like passing by the screen on like so many different like Bones, like all the CSIs.
Bones.
That's
Okay.
my shoulder right there. Like but through that, I was able to meet some other background actors that were trying to like, hey, I want to be a cinematographer. Hey, I want to be an actor. And we kind of just like formed like this little group. And we just started, filming our own stuff. And at the time there was this Crash the Super Bowl commercials from Doritos. And
yeah.
we shot one, and it was one of the number one rated Dorito spec commercials that year.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and then from that, I just kept on getting multiple jobs, getting networking, and I made friends who with another person who became a producer for this company called Moonbug. And Moonbug, if you've heard of Cocomelon, that's one of their products. And they also do Blippi. It's another big show for them. So
That's cool.
I was hired on in 2019 to help them. At the time, there was this Thomas the Tank Engine type of show that they had, and I was helping them with production. And then from there, I was brought on to help produce another TV show they had called T-Rex Ranch. And then the pandemic happened, like everything's like shut down, and I was just like, hey, I'm gonna go to Florida and just chill for a bit. And I get a call. It's like, hey, we just purchased a show called Blippi. The person who's going to be playing Blippi is also in Florida. You guys want to shoot some stuff? So we got together. It was just like me and like 4 other people. So I had a bunch of different hats, and we were just filming. I didn't know what Blippi was, but we were filming at this place called Loop Gardens in it's around Orlando area. And like we call them mamarazzis because they like to. It's the moms that love it, and they just like come to the set and take pictures. And then I saw this photo of me on the internet, like, oh, Blippi shows. It's like a thing. But yeah, so some of the first Blippi episodes that were on Netflix, I produced and directed those. And I'm a freelancer, so I do a lot of freelancing. I went back to my world. Made some short films. Our short film 459 won a couple of awards at different festivals. We're looking at getting that into feature production. I produced comedy specials for JB Ball through 800 Pound Gorilla, which is Kevin Hart's distribution company.
Cool.
But yeah, so
Nice.
I got my my productions like going all over the place. And so this being in the kid space for 6 years, I was like, man, I've got all these ideas if I ever create a kids show. And in 2022, a friend from high school moved out to LA, and we connected. And he's a pediatric nurse here in LA, and he was saying he wishes that there was a way to where kids wouldn't be scared to come to the hospital. I'm still scared going to the hospital. So we're like, dude, let's make a kid show. And the big thing is to help kids like get used to like going into the hospital, dealing with like everything that the doctors and the nurses have to do. It's called exposure therapy. Let's show them like what they're going to go through, like what's going to happen, teach them about the so we created this show called Nurse Dion. And it's available on YouTube, but that's a big project right now. I got a pipeline that are they're going to be in production this year that I'll probably talk about at a later date, but right now they're still in the early stages. But that's I still freelance with Blippi. But yeah, like right now the children's space is where I've been, and all of that.
That's all of this is very interesting.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because when we started this podcast, it immediately turned into the Nerd Archive Productions. And this is pretty much our first project. And then we had Yadi was helping produce a wrestling podcast. So we're taking everything you're saying because we want to learn also all of this. We want to know how to do all of everything you're just saying.
A lot of patience.
Yeah, well,
Sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah, because we wear a lot of hats here.
Oh yeah.
We do all of the social media. We do the editing. We do obviously the filming, the YouTube stuff. So it's a lot, which is great because it teaches us a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it also, it also helps if you enjoy that stuff, and I absolutely do. Like if I didn't enjoy editing and doing stuff like that, and it has some moments where it gets a little frustrating, but overall I do enjoy it. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing this. I'd probably just stream and just that'd be the end of it.
I saw a video the other day that said that it explained the difference between influencer and content creator. The influencer, and they showed clips of the two, and the influencer literally just turns on the camera, says whatever they're going to say, and post. The content creator takes their time they work on their craft, on how to make their next video at least 1% better than the last. And I think I always said, oh, I'm going to be an influencer. But the more I learned, I was like, and that video hit me. I was like, you know what? It's true. It's totally true, because we enjoy doing all this. So, yeah. So how did you said that you had to make connections and you moved to LA and all that? How was it that you said, what did you have to do to start producing? Like, what does that entail?
Yeah. So networking is like the biggest thing. And I'm not particularly good at like all these different areas. So, I would go to like networking events, or like I would go volunteer at the like the film festivals and stuff, and start talking to people, make friends, see if we have common interests, see if we vibe, and like I had a cinematographer that he was like great at what he does. And, we just like would say, hey, let's shoot something. And it's just like just grabbing the stuff and going. And like nowadays, like if like the modern cell phone, you can go make a short film with it right now. We didn't have that 15 years ago.
Right.
You just got to go and do it. And your first stuff is going to be terrible. My first short films are horrible. But you just you make something, you learn from your mistakes, and you just keep on going. It's just you gotta keep doing it. Yeah, like again, like I didn't know anything about filmmaking like when I first moved out here, and it's just doing your shit, do your homework, do your research, like find out, like like as you're saying, like what you guys are doing, everything. Another thing is check the analytics, like in YouTube, like they'll show you like where people are dropping off, like what is working for you, what's trending, like what are people talking about. And that's kind of we shot the whole first season of Nurse Dion, and we're releasing like an episode every month, and we're checking like, okay, well, what are people paying attention to? And we did our homework on it. We had a children's psychiatrist like look over our scripts and like look over our episodes and talk to the parents. Like, so another thing is like understanding like your target audience with like what you want to do. Yeah, that'll help with that engagement. But a lot of producing is like networking. It's I've kind of like a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Like I'm always here to help like people with whatever projects that they're doing, and to offer hand, because it's like another thing. The reason why I do this is I wish I had someone like that, like when I first started out. But
Right.
Like a good producer will find someone, like ask them like where do they want to be, and like help them get there, because that's how you build your network. So I've made friends with lots of people in like all the different departments, and also like doing their jobs is something that would make a great producer, because when you do their jobs, you understand what their needs are, like what buckets do they have to fill, like on a set, and you understand like the operation of the set and
Right.
So just try to be open to like every single part of whatever your production is, like how to make it. So you can understand like all the different things, and then you can use that information to make the best projects as possible.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. And it opens a lot of eyes just to think about that, because I think it all goes back to everything is like what you said, that you, if you do their jobs, you understand where they're coming from and what they're doing, and that relates to every job.
Yeah.
If you have the best, we have a cameo today.
Kidding.
Nitro. To me, the best managers that I've ever come across in the restaurant business have been people that started as dishwasher and moved on slowly to line cooks and supervisors, and slowly get to that position. And even owners, the better ones are the ones that grind to grind and get to where they need to be by learning all those stuff. You respect those more than the one that just came out of college, has no experience, and they're trying to tell you what to do. And in your head, in the back of your head, you're like, why are you trying to tell me what to do? I've been doing this for 15 years. You stop. But I think it, like you said, it working those positions actually help.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, also at the same time, you know, in that same vein, being, you know, willing to help that person that's in that beginning spot, you know, starting where you started, wanting to see them get to the position that you are in, you know, keep them motivated, because finding that right person is, I wouldn't say it's the easiest thing in the world, because there's a lot of people that they ground their way to that position, but then they don't want to see anybody get better than them, and so they'll want to keep them. No, they'll be a boss rather than a leader, and I think that's the biggest difference.
Which I never understood that, because when I was a manager, I wanted everyone to know everything because it made my job easier.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And to think about it, it's like I wanted to be lazy. So I wanted everyone to know everything, but at the same time, it made everything more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
If someone didn't show up, you have someone else that can take care of it. So,
not even with somebody not showing up, though. Even if there's somebody there, if you have somebody that's not feeling good, or, you know, something along those lines, they're still able to help out here and there wherever they can,
right,
and they
someone
have the
that's
knowledge
struggling.
to do so. Yeah. And yeah, so it's important. You never know how hard somebody else's job is until you do it yourself. So it's good to have that knowledge.
Right. Who would you consider your mentor if you had one?
Let's see. My mentor. There's just been like there's been a bunch. I've been lucky to have a lot of good leadership along the way. But there's one in particular. Her name's Shannon Flynn. She's one of our Blippy directors. But she's also she's won Emmys for like Sesame Street. And she's worked for Disney for a while, but she's been, a great source of information. Like whenever I have like questions on anything, she has like just a lot of great stories to hear, and a lot of like, she'll talk to you about like the difficulties of like her career and like different things like that. And because a lot of times like directors, they can get pigeonholed into certain things,
right?
And I don't want to make like children projects for the rest of my life. Like, it's fun right now, it's great, but I came here to make movies like Gladiator, like epics, and so that's one thing like I have to be mindful of on this path. But yeah, so I had another mentor, Bryce, who was I met her actually through volunteering for at the time it was called the Los Angeles Film Festival, but she's brought me onto a lot of big projects and I got a lot of experience like from those. But yeah, it's and really it's like I learn a lot just from like every set. So I kind of feel like every production is going to be like my mentor. Like I'm gonna,
Right.
I'll take like different projects, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna learn like so much just from doing this. So it's, yeah, that's all I have to say.
That's awesome. I mean,
Super cool.
Yeah, I'm glad that you had those people, and I'm glad also that you see every single production, even the ones to come, they still have something to teach you, and that's awesome to keep that mentality.
Mm-hmm. You're always wanting to you're always wanting to keep that motivation to progress that much further in your career, and you're always wanting to learn. And you know, it's not it's not something that I see, you know, around the area that I'm in, at least not as much anymore.
Right. And you touch on my next question. What is your ultimate goal in what you're doing? You said you want to make big movies and things like Gladiator.
So like my end game is kind of like with how Jerry Bruckheimer, he has his like TV division, his film division, his video game division. That's my end game is that to have, you know, this conglomerate that, you know, with different divisions of like, and I'm just like managing like what stories we're going to tell, like what you know, what direction like these projects will go in. That's my big thing. But right now, probably I would love to make a feature. Like telling epics, you know, like different stories. There's this one. There's the first Filipino national hero, Lapu Lapu, has an incredible story, and I don't think it's been told on like that grand of a scale before. Because you know when Magellan like discovered the Philippines, but he was met with you know, these different tribal groups. He tried to befriend one, and then they wanted to go to war with this other tribal group, and Lapu Lapu was the leader of that other tribal group. And they thought that, you know, they could just go in and just take them down. And so they took like one of their ships, and they weren't able to get on shore, so they took smaller boats, but their equipment weighed them down. So Lapu Lapu's group just like took them out. A lot of people don't know that Magellan did not circumnavigate the world. His boat did, but he didn't make it. He died in the Philippines.
Oh wow!
So yeah, stories like that. I love to go back into history and tell these stories that we don't really hear.
That's awesome.
Super
That's really cool. Yeah, huge fan of like anything historical. So
yeah.
Do you want to do you want to talk about a little of your background? Because I know it's interesting when you mentioned it one time to me.
Oh yeah, so my dad's Italian and Puerto Rican. My mom's Filipino, so I'm Italo-Filarican. So that's a. But yeah, my parents, my dad was in the military, and he met my mom in the Philippines. And yeah, like I was born in England. Spent a couple of years there on a base. Then we moved to the Philippines, and when I was 4, Mount Pinatubo erupted, and those were my first memories, escaping a volcano.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
damn,
and
hell of a moment to be conscious.
yeah,
oh,
yeah. Like I just remember it. It's like, you know, you look outside and you know it's daytime, but it looks like nighttime, and you can just feel like how hot like everything is, and like ash like falling down, and it looks like snow, which like.
But you shouldn't taste it.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, no. But yeah, like I think I was in my mid-20s the first time I actually saw snow, and it kind of just brought me back to like those visions from like when I was 4.
Oh wow!
I spent a good chunk of my life in Florida, and then I moved to California when I was 23. So you know, we don't get snow in Florida.
No.
Yeah. And out here, I can take a 2-hour drive to the mountains, and it's where Big Bear, and go see the snow when during winter. But yeah, I'd actually like down the road. There's this. They're called the Ash Warriors. My dad was in the security forces in the Air Force, and during that time, they had to stay during the entire like the eruption, because they had to secure the base. There was this communist group that wanted to take the weapon caches because they knew that everyone was evacuating. And so when they attacked the base, they had to go back and defend it. So that's actually a movie plot that I'd love to explore down the road.
I was about to say that would be interesting.
And there was a lot of political drama at the time because the land was leased to the United States, and the United States, their contract was coming up. And then they were getting reports of the volcano erupting. Like all the volcanic scientists were telling the people that were in charge of the base, you guys need to get out of here. This volcano is going to erupt. But the commanders of the base are like, it's going to cost so much money to evacuate everyone. And the last people you told that the volcano was going to erupt, they didn't leave. So it costed that place like millions of dollars in evacuation, and the volcano didn't erupt. So the commanders were like taking this huge gamble, like, should we evacuate? Should we wait it out? And they like evacuated like at the like last moment.
Oh,
And when the base was destroyed, there was an issue with like United States like taking their lease. It's like, well, this is land that we can't really use anymore.
It's not good for us. We don't want it.
Yeah. So it's like there was a huge like that caused like a rift like politically. So there's a lot of things to attack with that film, with like the actual physical like assault on the base and the geopolitics at the time.
gotcha.
That is crazy.
There's a book called like the Ash Warriors, and my dad's name's in the when they list out all the people that were defending the base.
That's awesome.
Write that down.
That is really cool.
Oh yeah, that definitely seems like it's going to be an interesting story to tell.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
You guys have any more questions for him?
I was going to ask like what your favorite project that you've worked on so far.
So like my favorite project is the Nurse Dion project that we're doing right now. And it's so when I got into like the children's space, like it was just like a job for me. Like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna film this here. It was pretty cool. We get to go on field trips and stuff, and like you film all these different places. And then I like saw like the reactions from the kids on how much they loved it. So like when we created the show, like our goal was like, okay, if we can change like one life, if we can make some like at least one person's life better in some way, it'd be worth it. And then when we released, we got so many positive feedback. We got messages from like people telling us like their kids, they went into the doctor, they told the doctor the instruments that they were going to use and everything. And it was just so cool. Like, and we were also hesitant on because our target age is like 2 to 6. Like, would these kids understand it? And people send us videos of the kids like saying the medical names, like these little kids like saying stethoscope and stuff, like knowing what it does, knowing like what their heart is and what their organs are, and like eating like healthy is like a big thing right now. And then that episode's doing very well. And it's just like reflecting on this project was just like, it's become my favorite just because of like how of the impact it's like making on people's lives.
That's very cool. Like at least with my kids, I put it on the other day, and they watched the one for emotions.
Yeah,
and they loved it. And they're 7 and 9, and they actually
wow, that's above, okay, that's cool.
They liked it because I don't put them anything else besides educational stuff, and that I was like, oh, I remember this, and then I put it on, and so they kind of got hooked with that one.
Oh, nice, thank you.
That's awesome.
I like that. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I think that my youngest, she's 10, but she likes all that thinking stuff. She likes the medical part and all that, and she's very smart. But I think that she would probably enjoy the show, regardless of what your demographic is.
Yeah. Well, like a fun thing that we had is like we're eventually going to start talking in season 2 about like getting specific about like the organs and like different things like that. And I would really love it, like if some medical student is out there, it's like, oh man, like what are the different parts of the heart? And they, they come up, oh, okay, great, yeah. So it's like,
that'd be cool,
right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like that for me is like, like it's like when people like explain this to me like I'm 5 years old, and for me, like just down the road,
right.
If medical students are doing that, like explain things to me as like if I was 5 years old. And then
I mean, being able to, and honestly, I think that would be cool for you, just like being able to see like future medical students and whatnot, being able to say that, this show, not only got me over my fear of doctors and going to the hospital, but it inspired me to break into the medical field and, help people and save lives in that. And honestly, It seemed like that would be like super, super cool, like a nice little feather in your cap for sure.
Yeah.
Would love that. Yeah.
Yeah, great job, man.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool. All of a sudden, you get a video. You know how you get the videos from the little kids saying things like that, but you get a video of a medical student graduating, and their parent in their speech they thank the show.
Yeah.
I think that would be.
Yeah.
I think that would be surreal.
Very. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Oh yeah.
So, since if there's anything else you would like to say, please do so. We can start talking about Star Wars.
Well, I do love Star Wars. Man, like because like I remember, I'm dating myself here, but like I watched like episode 4 with my dad, and then I remember I think I was around 10 when episode 1 came out into like the movie theaters, and just the pod races were those were my favorite.
Yep.
But yeah, man, like it's so funny because a lot of people they hate on like episode 1 through 3, but like a lot of that generation was like, or the episodes 1 through 3 were like made for like the kids at the time. Like you guys weren't the target audience. And I feel like the last 3 though that came out were like targeted to like older crowds, and yeah, it's I also recently had a full. Wait! I'm sorry. I almost dropped something. I'm not allowed to. Yeah,
it's okay.
I'll tell you guys offline.
don't be Tom Holland. Don't be Tom Holland. So the more I watch the trilogies, I came to a conclusion that the main character of each trilogy represents the generation that is for. You have Luke Skywalker. He didn't grow up he didn't know his parents, but he was a hard worker. He wanted to learn his things and whatever it was, and be better and be the best and work hard for it. Gen X. And then you get Anakin Skywalker as a millennial. He's angry but doesn't want to show it, but does. And he's just very angry all the time. And I feel like that's the millennials. We're angry all the time. And then you get Kylo Ren. He's Gen Z. He likes to pout. He likes to blame everybody else, and look back at the past generation and say that he wants to be like them, but not work hard for it. So that's how I see it. So Gen Z, sorry, that's how I feel about you guys. The good thing is that, Lola, you're right in between. So,
well, I disagree with everything you said. First of all, you're my brother, and I will disagree with everything you say always. And second of all, you're wrong. I just think the newer movies are for kind of like the same way that they made 1, 2, 3 for the younger generation, I think, and just to get them into Star Wars. That's the same thing I think that they did with 7, 8, 9 is movies to get the younger generation into Star Wars. They gave them lightsabers as well for people like you that need bright lights. The
RGB enthusiasts.
Yeah, just so go pretty. And then, now they're into Star Wars, and now they want to see other things for, going back to the OG3. So, you get your new Star Wars generations coming in little by little. They come in for those movies. They stay for 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, the newer generations always go back to the OGs.
Correct.
And that's completely understandable. That's completely understandable. But to me, episode 3 is the best one of them all.
I would agree
Fight
with
me.
that.
And I know Justin is boiling right now.
No,
You don't like Revenge of the Sith?
I'm not saying I don't like Revenge of the Sith.
No,
But he
let's
wa-
hash
he-
this out right now.
But he
What?
thinks
No.
Empire is the best.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree with that.
I disagree with you that episode 3 is the best. I prefer Empire to episode 3, but I still enjoyed episode 3. It was an incredible movie, and it was a perfect capstone for Anakin's story transitioning into Darth Vader and going into all the stories that succeeded it before before A New Hope.
That's a fair answer, actually.
Right. So I'm like I said, there's no way in hell that I didn't enjoy the prequel trilogy, and especially Revenge of the Sith. It's definitely the best of the prequel trilogy by far.
So I do love Empire. So I'm in the camp where like it's A New Hope is the best. So the thing though, like my caveat with Empire is like it's only as impactful because we have the story from episode 4. So episode 4 is the episode that you can drop in no matter what, not knowing anything about Star Wars lore, and you just have like the great time. I do love Empire. Empire is like is one of my favorite movies. But again, like without the impact from episode 4, episode 5 won't stand alone.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
fair.
And I said this, and I said this on an episode of Into the Disneyverse, which is another incredible show that we support as well. Is like you cannot, like, as good as Empire was, with it being probably the best in the Star Wars franchise. And yeah, I get it. Opinions vary, but like you said, you cannot understate the importance of A New Hope and the impact that had, not just on the sci-fi genre at the time, but film creation and digital editing and all that stuff in general, because it pushed a lot of things forward and it revolutionized so much.
It's completely fair.
That's completely fair. Yeah, that's a good answer. At least it wasn't something dumb like they didn't have any lightsabers.
but they did.
They did, but that's a
So
stupid
that
fucking answer.
that wouldn't be my answer because they had lightsabers. So
You know what doesn't have lightsabers, but it's still really good. Andor.
have you seen it since season 2? Lola? No? Then it's not that good because you didn't start watching it right when it came
I'm
out.
waiting for my friend to come down from fucking what is it, Colorado? He's not gonna come down here, but I keep texting him about it though.
I said what I said.
Well, I mean, there are some people, I mean, to be fair, there are some people that probably aren't going to watch it. And I know there's some people that are probably just waiting for the season to finish. So they're just going to binge the whole thing all at once. And that makes sense. That makes sense. And at least what they're doing with this, and I'm glad they made this decision, is they're doing the releases in 3-episode bursts. So you had 3 episodes last week, 3 episodes this week, and then you got the other 6 spread over the next couple of Tuesday evenings. If they had, especially with these first 3 episodes, like dragging on in places a lot more than they probably should have, if they had done an episode a week like they did with season 1, I honestly don't think it would have went over as well. And to be honest, I'm not surprised with how much more viewership the series got after its initial run. Because it didn't get the best of starts and not a lot of people were watching it, but as the series progressed and the episodes got significantly better, word of mouth started traveling around, and then viewership got way, way better after the fact. And that lends a lot to why it was ultimately greenlit for a second season. And so I'm honestly glad it happened, because I want to see the remainder of that story and where it ties up. And yeah, we know and I think a lot of people's like chief complaint is like Cassian Andor may not be the most interesting character. He's a good character, but also we know ultimately his fate at the end of Rogue One, and so some people might not see a point in just not even like bothering to watch it, which I get to a certain extent, but I feel it's still a good story to be told.
It's still a good story to be told. That's the thing. And like, how did he get himself so deep into this from just one movie? No, there's more to it. There's a whole background, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
And the fact that we're getting that story now, it's pretty cool. I thoroughly enjoyed season 1. I'm gonna watch season 2. I don't know if I want to start it now and then have to wait, or if I just want to start it all and then finish it all in one go. It's been hard with like Daredevil coming out and all those shows, because it's like, okay, I want more, and it's like I can't have more until next Tuesday,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then I can't have more until next Tuesday. So we'll see.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, at least for this one, if you did decide to just start watching it right off the bat, you don't have to wait each week for one episode. You can watch it in those 3 episode bursts that they're releasing them in, and it's not really a big deal.
Yeah,
But
but
like
after
I said,
that
I
third
also
episode, after that third episode, there's nothing more. I have to wait. I still have to wait a week.
true enough. I mean that's absolutely fair. So like whatever whatever you decide to do, or whatever anyone decides to do,
You can watch it
That's how it is.
one episode every other day.
I
And
don't
then
think
by
you understand the way I
yeah.
consume shows. The way I consume shows or books, it's all in one go.
I
Which
think that's what a lot of the younger crowd prefers doing, is just like binging things all in one sitting, whether it's books or shows or what have you. They prefer doing it that way. And so a lot of shows probably won't have that big initial viewership, but might make that up like after the fact.
right.
And so
When that
so it
last
makes sense, because
episode
that's
drops. When that last episode drops,
oh yeah,
everybody's
and
gonna sit down and watch it
and
all.
it makes perfect sense, because that's literally what happened with Andor. And so it's like, I think people were able to move past their initial trepidation especially with those first 3 episodes, because a lot of people weren't used to how slow paced, like the slow burn of that first season. And so they were like, I don't know if I want to do this, but then, like I said, word of mouth, and it gets people interested. And so it just kind of snowballed from there.
I also like that they're giving what's her name, Mothma, her background and how she got to where she got to. That's also
absolutely.
very, very interesting. Essentially, the politics behind Star Wars, or not behind Star Wars, but behind the Empire, and the moves that they have to make to keep the Rebel Alliance alive. That's all super interesting as well. Doesn't have lightsabers, but it's fine because there's more to Star Wars than lightsabers.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's where you lost Lewis.
But I do love they're giving like this main character energy to the people who are just in the backgrounds in the movies.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I want to hear like what's going on with that guy who's like in charge of cleaning the ships or something, like how's his life going? And I just love getting these little, that's why I love the expanded like universe of what Star Wars is doing. Like what's that guy's story? What's
Right. What are they doing?
Oh yeah.
Well, how did they all end up? I know, you always have your separation. Some people want this, some people want that. But how did they all get to the point of like, we need to change things around? And it also gives you more of a backstory of like, the Rebel Alliance wasn't just Luke Skywalker or Leia. It was a whole plethora of people that were winning and losing constantly. And they lost not just financially, they lost family members, they lost friends, they lost all this stuff to try to achieve something better. That's super interesting.
Oh yeah, no, and that's the best. One of the best parts about this particular series is it really gives you a deeper look into the inner workings of the beginnings of the rebellion, the darker sides of the Empire, and the things that people, like the everyday people, have to go through. Especially like if carrying yourself a certain way. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself running afoul of, certain nefarious individuals within the Empire. And so it's like people are afraid to move around or even breathe the wrong way. And it's like, I like that it gives you that darker, grittier take into like those inner workings. It's super, super cool.
Yep.
Like, I want to know if in the Jedi Temple, the janitors also were Force users. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, we
I
don't know.
I
like,
wouldn't
did they
be
carry
surprised if they
lightsabers?
just, like
Did it help them clean? Like, did they use force powers to clean stuff? Yeah.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Light brooms, light mops.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, we saw a glimpse of that though. We saw a glimpse of that in what was that, episode 8 at the end?
yeah, with the kid.
Yeah.
No, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Jedi Temple was more of a like, okay, well, today you get this chores and tomorrow you get that chore.
Like, did they have janitors, or was the Jedi had to clean?
I feel like it may be that, just to like humble them a little bit. Like, yeah, you have powers, but now go clean the toilet.
Some of them acted like they didn't clean anything.
I mean, you could imagine like the inner workings of the Jedi Temple probably had people that, they had to, and I imagine like even like your lower level Jedi, I mean, you still had to do like those everyday tasks and things like that, because there's definitely upkeep that you have to deal with and things like that. But then, of course, when you transition over to the Empire, and then, the Emperor used it as his palace and whatnot, which we pretty much know about. And the Emperor was like, I don't give a damn. You're all doing this, and I'm just going to sit around being awesome in my own mind.
Like, if they had a gardener, I want to know what Juan Kenobi was doing. You know what I mean?
He needed the lightsaber. It'd be super easy to cut hedges with a lightsaber.
Maybe.
And catch on fire. So Empire, everyone knows, we're all excited about. We all love it. What is your least favorite? And is it? Let's go by trilogy, because we all might just go straight to the new trilogy, and so let's break it down. What is your least favorite in the prequels? Yeah. Let's go with Malcolm first.
Oh man, so and it's not because it's like, it's just out of those three, the one I wouldn't like watch again and again would be episode 2, like Attack of the Clones. Like it is cool because we get to see like what happened, like how did this army come about, and that's like the big mention in episode 4 when he's like, you were in the Clone War, and then you get the whole thing, and it sets off this whole great animated series, the Clone War. Like I loved it. But if I had to go back, and they're like, okay, you get to pick 2 of these movies that you can, watch again and again, it just wouldn't be Attack of the Clones. So for me, episode 1, I love the pod racing. I had that Nintendo 64 pod racing game that I played all the time. I had
love
the pod
that
racing
game.
Legos. So that nostalgia kind of brings me back to like why I'd keep episode 1. And then Revenge of the Sith, that's when shit really hits the fan. It's just Attack of the Clones is just my least favorite of those 3, of why that's for me the worst one.
How about you guys?
I agree with Malcolm.
Yeah.
That's a good assessment. I'm satisfied with that answer.
I would definitely agree as well that Attack of the Clones was probably the worst of the prequel trilogy by a slight margin, though.
Yeah,
because they were all really good movies, but it's just like there's this little bit where Phantom Menace edges it out, and then obviously Revenge of the Sith being at the absolute apex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yadi's gonna be like, Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah, like
That's actually my favorite Harry Potter
I-
one in that group was the Order of the Phoenix.
It's the only one that I could think of.
Yeah.
he says that because I am not the biggest Star Wars fan, you know. I like it, but I'm not getting tattoos from it, you know. But yeah, I mean, I don't. I feel like my answer to this doesn't matter because I'm not.
It does matter.
It matters to us.
All
But
answers matter.
I do agree with what you guys said.
Got it.
What was said is what
Smell
I
and
was gonna
wave,
say. You
boys.
just said it
Smell
first.
and wave.
Got it.
Yadi's energy is like a go with the flow thing, and
Mhm.
we love
Unless
it
you
for it.
start talking shit about Harry Potter, and then he.
We'll see with the new seasons.
Yeah. How about the OG prequel or the OG sequels or trilogy, whatever?
Okay, so I get like objectively like Empire is the, you know, that's the one that is unequivocally probably the best film of those. But for me, in my opinion, the way I enjoy movies is like, do I want to watch this again?
Right.
So I loved Return of the Jedi. I loved Episode 4, and it might be because of my upbringing, you know, Air Force family, got to see like all these, you know, the fighter aircraft and everything. Empire is the one that I would put down as, in my opinion,
Right.
like out of those three, as the one that's just not there for me, in my objective opinion, but or subjective opinion. But yeah, so Empire is for me. I love the movie. Don't get me wrong. I love the movie, and I get why a lot of people put that at the top of the list. But for me, if they were like, all right, you get to watch these two, you get to pick two of these movies to watch. Which ones are you going to do? I'm going to go with New Hope. I'm going to go with Return of the Jedi.
Wow, that is an unpopular opinion. I like it. I like it. Lola, what about you?
I think A New Hope for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Justin.
That's it.
Once again, it's like I said, the margin is very, very slim because all three of those movies are as incredible as they are, but Jedi. Return of the Jedi I would put at the bottom, but like I said, by a very, very slim margin. So
Right.
like if I were
It
ordering them-
overlaps.
there's definitely some overlap, but if I were to put them in order by what I consider like best to worst of the original trilogy, it's Empire, A New Hope, and Jedi. But it's like it's so close, like you almost can't even like put them in any kind of order. At least
Right.
for me.
No, and that's fair. Now, Yadi, you had different answers. Which one are you gonna pick?
See, you made it very hard for me. So, I love them three movies. I gotta go with Malcolm. He had a great explanation for it, but if you want to see that explanation, just go back a little bit.
Yeah.
Can't repeat it, but
It was so good the way he said it that you don't need to explain it.
it is. I mean, it makes sense to me. I don't know. I mean, then thinking about like the movies that I've rewatched again, like you mentioned, I've rewatched A New Hope, and I always forget about the fifth one until we
Empire.
get to no, you know. So
Completely fair.
you know that it makes sense to me. So this one I did choose.
Yeah. Nice.
Nice.
I do have to say A New Hope. Just solely because the one scene in Return of the Jedi when the Force Ghosts show up And when they did the re-release,
Oh,
and they put Anakin,
that's
Hayden
a good
Christensen, in place of Darth Vader,
point.
or the original Anakin.
Mm.
To me, that, because I had already seen the prequels, and going back to that, I'm like, wow, that's a nice touch that they did.
It's not such a big
Oh, yeah.
change either. It's
Yeah.
just it really ties the story together.
Right.
True enough.
The way I feel about that, though, like I feel like that was not the right choice, because at the end of, well, I mean, I hope everyone's seen it by now, but at the end of Return of the Jedi,
Spoilers.
he saves Luke. So
Mhm.
him coming back as Christian Haydenson kind of negates him coming back to the light side. So you're seeing him as his younger version. So he didn't have his redemption in Return of the Jedi.
Which, and I also understand your point,
Yeah.
because the one that we saw as a good guy was the older version of him.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because if you watch the prequels, he was battling the whole time his dark side.
Mhm.
There was not really fully good Anakin. And if they wanted to do fully good Anakin, they should have picked the kid. But I do understand your point.
Yeah. See, but here's the thing about Anakin, and it's from like Revenge of the Sith. It's like the balance is still balanced. What tips the scale is the master's attitudes towards him, and I think he sees that, and I think in his brain, psychologically speaking, he sees that as a form of betrayal, and he's fighting fire with fire, essentially. He's not going to be able to save the person that he loves. He is being betrayed by the Order, and so the scales tip, and they tip towards the bad side. But I don't think. Well, actually, he murdered the women and children too, so I'll take that back.
Yeah.
Never mind. Never mind.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
There's a whole
that's the
scene.
thing.
There's a whole scene.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. No, I take it all back. That's all bullshit. He did kill the women and the children. So we never truly see, well, when he was a kid,
Right.
truly good Anakin. But I do like the separation of Vader and Anakin. And I like that once he comes back as a Force ghost, he comes back as Anakin. Because then you can see the separation again one more time from who the two persons are. It's almost like a double personality situation. And he even says it in the Obi-Wan show, like, I am what you made me. I am Darth Vader. And then that's fully like Anakin's gone. There's no more, like, this is not your fault, but I'm not him anymore. He's dead.
I killed him.
I don't
But he comes
necessarily.
back in Return of the Jedi when he
Right.
saves his
So
son.
I don't
Yeah.
think that was necessarily true, regardless of what he said at the end of the Obi-Wan series. I think there was always that conflict between his light side and his dark side from the get-go. When he
Mhm.
first became Darth Vader, there was always that conflict. And what Palpatine did to him, and the armor that he put him in, limiting his powers and basically being the cause of a lot of his pain, doesn't help anything either. And like, I think, building on what you were saying with like the scale starting to tip, I think the scales were really starting to tip in favor of his inevitable redemption and his betrayal of Palpatine and throwing him over the edge into that void, was his interactions late into Return of the Jedi with Luke.
Yeah.
With him trying to convince him to let go of that anger and that hatred, that resentment and whatnot. And just him, like, you could see it when, especially when he said, like, it's too late for me. Like, you could see it, like, he's kind of he's trying to bring himself back, but that dark side within him is still fighting tooth and nail to maintain control.
Mhm.
And then, of course, you see that with his fight with Luke at the end of with Jedi, and then inevitably those scales completely tip over when he realizes he's about to lose his son.
Mhm.
It's the only person that obviously Leia is still there, but
Mhm.
he's not really interacting too much with her. He's not fighting her. He's not seeing himself. He sees himself in Luke, especially when you see Luke kind of like tipping also.
Oh yeah.
Like tiptoeing in between the light side and dark side. I think that brings back memories, and that actually seeing that is probably what pushed him over the edge to wanting to help him.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then like you were saying, like seeing shades of that in Luke, like you see, obviously you see shades of that in Empire when he's training with Yoda and he goes into that dark side force cave. And fighting Vader in his mind, and then seeing himself in Vader when that mask explodes. And then of course, when he loses himself fighting Vader in Jedi, after Vader taunts him about his sister. And as soon as that fight ends and he chops Vader's hands off, he sees he sees what he could wind up becoming, and he's edging ever closer to that tipping point, and then looking at what he lost in Empire and realizing he could very well become the same evil that his father had become. And he made that decision. Okay, no, I'm not doing that. And that, throwing down his weapon and, saying, no, I'm a Jedi.
I feel like if he had spent a prolonged period of time with Leia, he would have turned to the light side sooner. I feel like the her being exactly like her mom would have reminded him too much of Padme and would have brought him back a lot sooner.
Right.
And I understand the parallels between Luke and Vader, but also at the same time, I think him seeing little Leia,
the love of his life,
the love of
embodiment,
his life, and his child, and essentially, the person that would help, bring back good into the universe, into the galaxy, would have brought him back a little bit sooner than seeing his parallel.
Right. And I can see that too. But we didn't see that.
We didn't see that.
But,
we did see it with Obi-Wan, though. Those interactions between little Leia and Obi-Wan, that was precious.
Yeah. Now, out of the sequels, you have to pick one. You can't just say the sequels.
Yeah. For me, I think episode 7 would be the weakest in the group, just because it's like J.J. Abrams was like, "Hey, you guys like episode 4? Check this out."
Here's it again.
It's like, you guys like this, right? This is basically a remake of episode 4. Look at almost all the shots are the same, and there's a lot of missed opportunities, I feel, with that film. Like the opening scene. Like, wouldn't it be great if I forget the actor's name, but he's like talking about making like this sacrifice for a better future. And what if that was Jar Jar? Like, it'd be crazy. Like, it opens up and it's Jar Jar Binks, and then he's like, that would be such a redemption. I know, like, the actor later got a cool redemption in
the Acolyte.
Yeah, but it'd be cool to just like Jar Jar Binks making that sacrifice at the very beginning, showing you that, like, no, this is going to be a completely different. We're going to take you guys on a different type of adventure. There's just so many missed opportunities. Again, I wasn't in the director's chair, and I know he probably had a lot of pressure of, appeasing so many different hats. So I don't blame him for anything that people think are negative of the film. It's that's the business. J.J. Abrams, he did his job, and but I do feel like that's the coming from an armchair director, I'm just saying like that. I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunities there.
That's why I wanted to ask you, because I knew that talking about the sequels, the director's point of view would come up.
Yeah.
Because, and the only thing I do have to say is that changing directors for the middle movie messed up the flow of the trilogy. I think that the second one would have been a little bit better if we would have seen more, like, it would have been more cohesive. And then the third one, we wouldn't have seen J.J. Abrams trying to fix what was undone in the second one, and then felt rushed because now he has to fix some things and then move on with his story. That's that's the way I saw it.
Okay. Well, I mean, Empire had a different director. It was George Lucas's former teacher. I just feel like it depends on who's the director, and I think what was it? Is Garrett Edwards? Is that did he direct 8?
Justin is the mind here.
Yeah,
he remembers names.
Oh, for who directed The Last Jedi?
Yeah, 8.
Yeah, I think that was Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson. I'm sorry, but
he told you.
He's I've seen his other work. I mean, he does great stuff. But yeah, like, I mean, I just feel like they like with that latest trilogy, they tried too hard in certain areas and not enough in like the areas that counted. They're one, you got to make Disney happy. You got to, what it's going to sell here. Like what toys can I make to sell to the kids?
Right.
You know what I mean? What's going to, what's going to drive our profit margins up? So like a lot of those people like that are at the helm of those projects are like, they're at the whim of the executives of the empire,
Right. Pretty much.
There's some interesting parallels there.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people liked episode 7 more because it felt like you said, it felt like we've seen it before.
Yeah.
So it kind of brought back those memories. And looking back now, it's like, okay, maybe, like you said, we could have done something different. But at the time when it came out, Star Wars is out again. We haven't had Star Wars in 15 years. It feels great. There's lightsabers. You know what I mean? And I like to do callbacks.
Yeah.
And so seeing that kind of probably helped a lot. But at the same time, I do agree that it was a rehash, and I don't.
In the long run, I think it hurt. Initial reception was good, but in the long run, it kind of hurt. Especially going into the episodes 8 and 9.
Right. Because I do think that, like you said, you think about the movies as, are they rewatchable?
Yep.
And I have not sat down and rewatched these movies. The only time I did was because my wife and I did Lola, were you there for the Star Wars marathon?
Yeah, bitch. So was
it
was our idea.
Yeah, I don't think I was there.
Actually, you weren't for like half.
I was working. Yeah, I was working. But
we got through the important ones without you.
Yeah, great. My favorite ones. We did a marathon and we did all 9 of them.
Oh, we baked the cake.
And Lola baked the cake.
I'm sorry, just random thought, but a lot of like the starfighters, they go like huge different like distances of times, like hours and hours. I remember, plant to plant, they can travel. There's no bathrooms on there. Have you guys ever noticed that? Can you imagine?
But they go at light
speed.
Speed.
Marathons,
They go at what is it, hyperspeed?
Yeah,
but they're getting
time.
It's so fast though.
I never. Okay, now
we don't get to spend the time with them while they're on hyperspace.
No, that's true.
Because like no one's gonna want to watch like 5 hours of them just traveling through space. I'm sure like there are times where we're like seeing like the main points and conversations that they're having while they're in hyperspace. But I mean, there's some travel time there, and like they're in their little, starfighter. Like I don't know. I was just curious. I just had
diapers.
Watch it.
Well, I was thinking astronaut suits have like where you can pee in them, and other things. So maybe their suits do too.
What we never noticed was the sticker on the side of the starfighter or the X-wings and all that said brought to you by Depends. You know what I mean? We didn't see those, but they were sponsored. They were sponsored, but now I
Most
cannot
likely.
not think about that ever again.
I'm sorry.
No, that's great. That's God damn. I'm gonna dream about that tonight
Rent free in your head.
for sure. I'm gonna make a TikTok video out of it too,
Ah,
because that's what I do. I steal ideas.
I also think in like 20 years, these movies are going to have a comeback, kind of like the prequels had. And then all y'all like old bitches are going to be like, oh, we could have done something. And the new kids are going to be like, we love you.
Yeah, it's gonna be like they're gonna make another trilogy that's gonna suck even more, and then we're gonna appreciate these, like what the older generation is doing now with the prequels.
Yeah.
No, they weren't that bad. Comparing it to the newer ones.
I'm looking forward to Rogue Squadron though. Like I think that's one I'm pretty sure I'm gonna thoroughly enjoy. I don't care like who makes it. But Rogue Squadron is like what I'm gearing up for.
That project has been up in the air. Like, is it happening? Is it not happening? You know, it's just been back and forth so many times. The last I heard, it is happening, and they're just like trying to figure things out, and like I don't even bother with Star Wars Celebration half the time, especially with some of the announcements that they do, because like half the projects that they announce wind up never seeing the light of day. So it's just like,
well, if they don't make it happen, I'm gonna make it happen, because that's
I was gonna say Malcolm should do it.
Oh, absolutely, he should
do it.
Whatever it is, I just heard the last of it, and I agree.
and reeling it back to the sequel trilogy one day getting the love when something worse comes out. Somehow I doubt that. Somehow
That's why
you think that they're at the bottom of the barrel?
Apply to all of
at this
you.
point. Well, but that's the thing though. Like there are some of the older crowd that have come around to to actually appreciate the prequel trilogy even before the sequels came out. So it's not it's not so much. And like you said, I think the last time that we talked about it, because there is that for some, like, oh, the sequels came out, they're so much worse. Maybe the prequels weren't that bad, and you Lola called it kind of a cop out, which it makes sense, but also it's like some people were actually starting to change their tune well before the sequels ever came out, well before even Disney bought out Lucasfilm. So the opinions were starting to turn around, but it wasn't really that quickly that things were starting to change, but they were starting to change.
Listen, all I'm saying is today is 4/29/2025. In 4/29/2045, we'll have this conversation again, and we'll see who's right at the end of the day.
Hopefully, my internet's better then.
I fucking hope so.
But yeah, no. Going back to your initial question, the worst of the prequel trilogy, my answer is yes. No, but honestly, to give you a proper answer, since I know that's what you're looking for, The Last Jedi.
I agree with you.
Mostly because the change in the change of directors, and just it created this lack of consistency, and obviously JJ having to come back in the very next movie to try and to work with what you had and fix what Rian Johnson screwed up, and so it's just like no. But then again, the sequel trilogy is just one big bag of no.
I think that
they just could have ended it differently. Just use what you have at that point, and give it a good ending. But
I just think that Rise of Skywalker would have been a lot better if Rey would have said, "I'm a Skywalker." But I digress.
I still pretend
I ag-
that doesn't even exist.
I agree, only because of not because of like, oh, she shouldn't be a Skywalker. I don't give a shit about that. I think that the Skywalker name should have died already. If you're going to create sequels about the next generation of Jedi that are not related, blood related to to the Skywalker, just let the that lineage die. Just give me something Jedi related that is not related to the Skywalkers.
But I agree, but at the same time, this was the story of the Skywalkers. Like the 9 movies were the story. And the problem also with the sequels is that the story we got wasn't what the original story for the sequels was going to be. The episode 7, 8, and 9, it takes place when Luke and Leia are rebuilding the Jedi Order. But the problem was probably the time and when they decided to make the sequels. They wanted to use Mark Hamill again, but Mark Hamill didn't look so young. So they probably couldn't do 10, 15 years in the future. They had to do 40. So I think that if they would have used the original story, what they were going to do, I think the sequels would have been better.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And yeah, if you're gonna do, and even still, like if you're gonna do that, like if you want to use, say, like 15 years later when they're rebuilding the Jedi Order, and you can kind of bounce back and forth between that 15 years later and 40 years later, and yet use Mark Hamill for the older version of Luke as it should be, but then recast a younger version. Or if you want to do what some of them did, like what they did in The Mandalorian, you had another actor and then you just kind of digitized his face to look more like Luke Hamill or Mark Hamill. Jeez.
Luke Hamill. Nice. That's the name now. That's the name now.
Nerds don't words, good folks. You had to figure that was going to come up at some point in the episode. I'm amazed we made it this long before I screwed that up or somebody did.
So now the question of the episode is, how did Luke Hamill go to the bathroom when he was traveling? That is the question. Carry on.
There you go. Yeah, but honestly, I think I agree that that they should definitely move away from the Skywalker story at this point, because it should be over. So if you're gonna tell new stories, go a few hundred years into the future or go a few thousand years into the past.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Exactly. Go into, you have so much content and lore and things like that just from the Old Republic that you can tell so many good stories. Not just with Knights of the Old Republic, because you can tell some good stories with that, but the Old Republic in general, because they've expanded so much on that. But, with Disney, I just don't, I still don't trust them to not
But
screw it up.
even then, like that'd be cool, yes. But even then, Andor is set in the time that the Skywalkers are still alive and kicking.
Mhm.
We're not getting their story though. We're not seeing what they're doing right now. We're mostly seeing what they're doing in the background to get the Rebel Alliance up and running.
Right.
Those stories are really good and they're doing a good job in my opinion. So can it be done? Yes. They just should have let the Skywalker name die in the sequels, and just I understand Luke is there and that they what the original plan was. That's not what they did. They went with something else, and you did end up killing Luke. Spoiler alert! At some point or another, but there's no reason to bring back the Skywalker name with somebody else. They died. They died off. It's cool. It's okay.
They literally died off in the last movie.
Yes, but correct. But they died before she decided to take on the Skywalker name, which was your point that she shouldn't have done it. And I agree with that. Not from she shouldn't belong to the Skywalker family. No, I'm saying it more from the point of they died off does she feel like a Skywalker? Fantastic, love that for her. But just let the name die. Just move on to something else.
Oh
Move
yeah.
on to the next generation.
Well,
Essentially.
and therein lies the point. You can pay reverence to the Skywalker name. That's all well and good, but
Mhm.
if we're gonna stick with the Rey character, it seems like they want to do that. I mean, we haven't really heard any updates on this Rey movie trilogy that they're wanting to put out, but like, create your own legacy.
Create your own legacy, correct? Yeah.
Don't
It's okay to
latch
keep
on
other
to.
legacies alive, but create your own.
Oh yeah,
I think to me it would have made more sense if Kylo Ren would have survived and said that line. Like, and hear me out. He is all 3 movies. He's obsessed with Darth Vader, with the embodiment of Darth Vader, not Skywalker, Darth Vader. So him redeeming himself at the end and maybe taking on the name, it's still looking back and idolizing him, but the good side. And because his mom's a Skywalker. So taking on that name, him, would have been more sense, because then we would have seen another redemption
More
of
significant.
right. But Rey had, like, at the end of the day, she did it because of Luke, but then she was also in love with Kylo. Maybe the Solo name could have come up instead.
Oh, true.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think that would have made more sense, especially for Kylo, had they let him survive, because that's, technically his name, Ben Solo.
Right.
So I think really how that should have played out. But all in all, though, I think it's weird how Rogue One and Andor are like the best content that Disney Star Wars has put out thus far. And I honestly think that if they had led with that property, with Rogue One and Andor, before they started putting out the sequels and some of the other stuff, I think it probably could have kept a lot more eyes on the product. And I think, honestly, if they had just told better stories in some of these shows, but I think, honestly, what they need to do, and I can say the same thing at this point for Marvel as well, and I'm not going to get into a whole rant about that, because we did that last episode. It seems like a semi rant, but I think at this point, with the state of Marvel and Star Wars, I think what they need to do is just finish up the projects that you have and just shut it down for about 5 years or so. Just give it a break and, let everyone
Regroup.
breathe. Right. Let everyone breathe and just try and start over,
And get rid of Kathleen Kennedy.
Well, yeah, that too. Honestly, if I had, so for me, I think if I were in charge of that, if I were suddenly put in charge of that, I would literally do just that. It's like whatever projects are deep in production, finish it, whatever. Drop it, make whatever money you can off of it, and it is what it is. Anything that hasn't started, we're scrapping it. It's not coming out. And then once all that's done, stop everything for about 5 years, and during that 5-year gap, regroup, fire just about everybody, and get people in that know the brand, that know the stories, and have that kind of reverence for the especially, I would love to see them get in some of the writers for from the expanded universe books, because they have told some of the best stories and have been able to expand on a lot of what we have, especially within the core Star Wars universe.
Right.
It's incredible the kind of stories that they tell. And so, bringing in those people and others that know the lore and, everything, the inner workings of Star Wars, to bring those new stories to life. And then, bringing back the fans that, that Disney has lost due to a lot of their decisions.
I think that we need to pitch in Malcolm, and he seems like he seems like he loves Star Wars. He's very passionate about it. We need him in charge, and that's it.
Oh, I would love that. There's a ton of things I would do, but I mean, I think one of the biggest things that it's worked with some when you have like projects like this, when you have like this type of IP, like bring in the experts, you know, like bring in the people that know the lore. They're going to know what the fans are going to want to see. They're going to want to know what stories, whose stories we want to tell, like what, you know, because really it's like you really, you know, you got to make great content for the fans because those are the people that are going to watch it. You know, it's for them.
Absolutely.
They're the ones paying.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what, you know, one day down the road, yeah, if Rogue Squadron hasn't been made yet, like I'm definitely that's the project I would love to do.
Yeah, throw your hat into that ring.
Yeah,
love to see it.
Let me call up the mouse right now.
I mean, honestly, I would absolutely love to see a Rogue Squadron. I mean, whether it's a movie or a series, I mean, you could tell some really good. It'd be great because I enjoyed the games so much. Like those games were so much fun. Like, well, I mean, the first and the second one were really good. I didn't really like the third one as much, but you know, it is what it is. But I mean, yeah, so much good stuff to tell. And I mean, like I was saying, you have so much. I think the reason, and I think the big reason why they didn't really want to use and decided to decanonize the expanded universe and basically just call it Legends is they didn't really want to have to pay out all those residuals to the authors that created those books, which I get, but I mean, you have so much good content to draw from there. It's like you would make so much money from that you honestly, I don't think you would really have to worry about how much of that you would wind up having to shell out to the authors.
Just saying.
But yeah, no, jeez, we've been going in about an hour and a half. This was
long
episode. Honestly, this was a really, really good conversation. I like this.
Yes, it was.
Yes. Do you guys have anything else for Malcolm? Because I think that we've gone, like you said, an hour and a half, and that's normal for us lately.
Yeah.
But we don't want to take any more time from Malcolm. I'm sure that he wants to enjoy his day off.
well, no, today's not a day off. I got things before and after this, but
then we want to make sure that you get to do your things and not have to worry too much about anything else. So, do you guys have any other questions for him?
Oh no, to be honest, I'm good. I loved this whole conversation. I'm glad you were able to get to come on here and chat with us. And you know, I love getting those perspectives from people, you know, in the industry and have that kind of experience. And I mean, I imagine you guys do as well. It's always nice to get those fresh perspectives.
Yeah,
this was awesome.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
Of course. And anytime you want to just talk nerd, just let us know. We don't care if it's 5 minutes before we record. We'll have you on. We like to things on the fly. So, all right. So with that being said, thank you guys for joining us today. We had an amazing episode just talking about Star Wars, talking about Malcolm and all the things that he's done. We have social media. Justin, what can they do?
Click all the things.
You heard it. Everything's down below in the description. Make sure you click everything. Join our Discord. We have an amazing community that just loves to talk about anything nerdy and just we're cool people, as you can tell. If you watch this whole episode, it's because you enjoyed our conversation. We have more going on in Discord, so make sure you join us. Again, see you next week. Deuces.
Bye.
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 Yeah.